How many students we have?
Confirmed 33. And they are now joining. Здравейте на всички! Започваме след около 1-2 минутки. Благодарим ви, че сте тук. I'm just saying we are starting in 1-2 minutes.
Can't wait to start.
I believe we can start. It's already 6:30 our time. Yeah. Здравейте на всички! Благодарим ви за отделеното време тази вечер. Това, което ще направим днес е креативен вебинар, заедно с Istituto Europeo дизайн. В него ще участват Андрея Поци, който е регионален менеджер за България, и Франческа Перани, която е преподавател в Института по много от дисциплините, които може да се изучават там. Целта на вебинара е да представим как може да направите своя moodboard и да го използвате като средство, за да представите своята креативност. Също така Андрея е подготвил и една игра, в която да участвате за своя креативен проект, и след като направите всички точки по нея, ще може да получите своя сертификат за присъствие в този вебинар. Надявам се да ви е полезен и интересен. Ние сме тук и може да задавате своите въпроси в чат менюто. След презентацията на Франческа ще отговорим на абсолютно всички въпроси. Ако останат такива, които в момента не можем да отговорим, ще изпратим подробна информация по имейл. Благодаря ви още веднъж за това, че сме заедно. Андрея, it's your turn. Thank you.
Thank you, Petya, and welcome all of you. Just a few words. As Petya said, my name is Andrea. I work for Istituto Europeo di Design. I believe if you're here, you know already, pretty much about the institution. If you don't, you can take advantage to ask us some questions afterwards when we have a Q&A session. I just wanted to underline one thing. We are very much about learning by doing. So for this reason, I am launching at this very moment a sort of let's say assignment for you. And if you can see my screen right now, what I would like to invite you to do is we're about to have a lesson about how to do a mood board, right? So if you can read it, I would like to invite you also to build your own mood board with the indications that Francesca will give you in a few moments, and then to post it in the next few days. Of course, there's no need to do it right now. You can post it on Instagram by, of course, you have to follow ID official or YED official. And then you can follow these directions. You basically have to post it by, describing the project, tagging ID, and using the hashtags inspired by it, find your difference, and design different. Once you've done this, please make also sure to create a story, and then, of course, to send an email with your details to the email address that you see at the bottom. What will you get, back from this work is, first of all, you will get a feedback from us so that we can sort of give you some advice about your work. And I think this is going to be interesting for you. And also, we will send you a certificate of attendance of this lesson. So I don't want to steal too much time to this lesson. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the lesson with Francesca.
Okay, I will share with you my screen. Just a second. I try again. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. So I introduce myself. I'm Francesca Perani. I'm a teacher at YED since 2011. So I've been working with YED for many, many years. And I'm normally involved in the master design courses. And today I'm going to talk to you about mood boards. First of all, I just introduced myself. I'm a teacher, but I also work in the architecture industry and also in the graphic design industry. So part of my activity is really blending graphic design and interior design mainly. So this is why I really love mood boards that I use every day for my design work, but I also teach in YED. So as you can see here, even this is an interactive, a dynamic, let's say, mood boards where I try to explain myself through a collage of different medias, animation, GIF, or photograph, or illustration. So this is something that we will ask you to do by the end, as Andrea said, and it's just an example of how collecting images can give something also emotional to the viewer. So here, the first slide, what is a mood board? Is visually communicating ideas for a design project. An important thing about mood boards is the fact that it has got two main key elements. One thing is that mood boards normally help you delivering an idea without having to deliver actually the final idea. So it's a way to produce new work without creating it, but just taking references from other work. So it's very good for you, for the client that you meet normally at the very beginning, for the university, for your project in general. And at the same time, while you are creating a mood board, you are gonna start thinking about how you want to deliver the project. So it's really a tool for you to design something and to find the right style that you are gonna approach. Something else important to say, it's called mood board. So obviously it's about giving the mood, the overall feel of what you're gonna present, the overall colors, and this can apply to a room, a project space, a product design work, and to fashion. It really belongs to any creative activity. So it's something we normally use in any kind of profession that explore creativity. What we normally do in YED that is really important for us is to deliver and to teach students that the creative process has got many important sections. The first one is really the research. Then we have the idea, and then we have the idea is normally called the concept, the vision, and then we finally have the design. And this process has been highly recommended by Bruno Munari, that was a very important designer in Italy in the 1970s. And so why I'm saying this is because mood boards can really help us in all these situations, in the analysis and research, in the moment that we create a concept and vision for our project, and then also for the final design presentation. So mood boards can really be strong tools in each moment, and I'm showing it in the next minutes. And when we said analysis and research is really the focus of all our projects. And so we need to start collecting information, collecting references about what we want to do. And normally mood boards will help us in organizing all the material and making it very clear for our clients, for our work in general, for when we present it. So, one second. So as I said, the mood boards can help us in all this design process. And in general, when we are talking about the first moment of the research, for instance, it's very common that we might be asked to analyze the trends in fashion or in architecture or in design, product design. So for instance, in this board that you see, there is neo-mint inspiration that could be said is a trend of last year. And so you can see that you can collect images from fashion, interior design, from graphic design, you can see here, or from furniture pieces. And all this collection of images can deliver the idea of neo-mint trend, for instance. So we normally do this when we analyze the trend in design in general. Here you see another example is about terrazzo inspiration. So in the same, I really like this because it combines materials that belongs to interior and also a dress like the one you see here on the left. So it's really making mood boards is really a nice way to organize materials, find just the only photograph that can be really effective. In this case, probably we have too many photos that look the same, like these two are probably too similar. So we just needed one. But when you create something like this, you are already delivering some inspiration and some information to whoever is your listener, your target. We can use mood boards also when we have, when we are delivering a concept. So in this case, you can see that, for instance, on the image on the left, we saw the compression as the main title, and then just two photos that together are delivering the feeling of loneliness and, but at the same time also calm. So two photos and a bit of text can be seen also as a mini mood board of also to deliver the final concept, as well as the one that you see on the right. That is a different style, different thoughts, but again is a way to deliver a concept with just few images. When we talk about design, as you can see here, the mood boards can be of two kinds, and I'm gonna go through them in a second. And here you can see that it can be a very conceptual mood board. So here you can see photographs, illustrations, color palettes, graphic approach. So the same mood board can really be a combination of many different kind of inspirational images. But at the same time, we have one idea that is being tropical and a bit eclectic. So it's a tropical, eclectic, a very pop tropical vibe of this mood board that can really, instead of talking so much, it just needs to be seen to be understood. So this is the power of mood boards, that it just takes very little time to understand the mood of the final project. I think this is quite interesting. The fact that when you do a mood board is always like projecting the person that you are talking to, the idea that you have been collecting a lot of material, like you see on the picture to the side, looking at it, taking some pictures out, some pictures in, and finalizing one idea that is really reflecting a good balance of colors, of materials, and but mainly of the vision. So is the best way to sell your design, mostly when you start presenting the project at the very early stage. And as we said before, it can be applied to fashion, to product, and to interior design. So really, what is a mood board is this thing that you see is like collecting information on a board and then mixing it in a digital board that can be what you're gonna provide for the final presentation. So here you see fashion, then here you see an example of design. So again, is really, the mood board is the expression of all the thinking that you've been putting behind the choice of your vision. It's also good to say that is always something that we produce through addition and subtraction. So normally when you start creating a mood board, you collect many images, and then by the end of your process, you've been just picking the most interesting one for you. So it's also good because along this process, you really understand how not to take a wrong decision, but just the right ones. So as you can see here, you start with many photos, and then you just collect the one that will really drive your vision to the client or to the project in general. As you can see here, that these are just other examples, and here you see a mixing of text and photographs and some nice effects. It's really important to know that the mood board is the first tool that you have to support your imagination. And it makes you really confident on what you present. And it also makes it so clear to the client that it's not going to be, everything that you're going to present is not going to be misunderstood. Also, it's very important to use the mood board so that you're not going to put too much work onto a final design, but you experiment yourself with different styles before making the final decision. So through the mood board, you still have the opportunity to change a little bit your ideas or not present one idea only. So here, just a clear explanation about the work. You are, when you do a mood board, you're setting a tone or a mood. You really show how the product will look like and feel like. So normally we say is a feel and look situation, and you express also emotion. So you see here that this, for instance, this image that you see on the right is expressing the idea of just pinning some photographs on the wall, just with this idea of the masking tape. And at the same time, we don't see just words and and photograph, but we have the impression of a very warm, comfortable space or comfortable clothes. We don't know yet, but this is really the power of the mood board, not just talking about materials, but really expressing the feeling of the space or of the design in general. Here, and this is what I said before, informality also is part of the mood board and can be something you can add to any mood board. So for instance, here you can see two very, very formal mood boards that are sample mood boards. So this belongs to the final design and the final presentation, but the fact that the person has been putting the hands inside the mood board really takes us into a more humanized way to express the design. So you can be informal with your mood boards too, as they did with this sample mood boards, through the use of your imagination and some creative inputs that you can give with your humanized touch in a way. Mood boards are normally a collection of visual references. So as I said before, you can deal with color palettes, textures, finishes, shapes. And they can be either digital, physical collage. So you can, if you are very good at making digital, physical collage, you can also try and do it with your paperwork. And then you just take a photo of it and you deliver that. If you prefer to work with digital software, you can do it with a simple program as PowerPoint, or you can use Photoshop or other suite programs that you find comfortable with. But really the most important thing is to find unique photos, unique references, not the references that everybody look for, and deliver one only vision. Here, again, you can see that I've been picking as an example, a digital mood board that is just where there is just the addition of some animated GIF. And this is also something that you can do very easily. You just go online and you pick these references as animated GIF. So you have a lot of potential today to deliver mood boards also in a very dynamic way and very, very emotional as well. Normally in the mood boards, you put real images, illustrations, graphics, fonts. You can add text and description. It's really upon you if you want to describe it with text, because maybe you like writing a lot and you like an expressive also description, or you prefer only to deal with a photograph. So I give you just some explanation here of how you can deal with color palette. This will be a very, very neutral way to present colors. But instead, when you create a mood board, for instance, you can also refer to the picture that you're putting. So for instance, here, you can have colors that come from natural gradients. So if you put the color palette that you see on the left, for instance, and you create a sort of reference to a natural or anything that you think was the inspiration, for the client, it's very, very easy to believe that your idea is coming from one only idea. This could be like autumnal leaves, and the other one is coming from lavender. So this is just a suggestion for you to combine colors coming from intriguing photographs. This is another way, for instance. So maybe the mood board is all about desert on the left, but then you pick the right photo that is giving you the right shades for the project. The same here to the right, you have another photos, and is delivering you completely different shades. And so this way to present the colors and ideas can be very effective. And we are only talking about color palette. Here, another idea you see on the right, there is a butterfly that could be one of the idea of your composition. And out of the butterfly, you can see the colors with their codes. This is a very professional way. You also insert the color code if you want. To the left, I like this photo because it was not only showing the color, but instead of presenting the code of the color, it was naming the colors. So instead of saying yellow, it really say mustard, and then balsam blue, and blush, and rust. So also this idea to name the colors in a different way can be already a way for you to deliver the project in a more emotional way. When we talk about textures, again, you can, instead of showing a project, you start showing textures that could be seen as a reference to your design. So you could have a pattern, different patterns, like you see on the blue photo. You can see these patterns, they are different, but they are always like a layer over a layer over a layer. So is already giving some flavor to a possible project. And here you see also the palette that you could add to something like this. To the right side, you see another opportunity. Here we see different textures, different colors, but in reality, when you produce something like this, then you will deliver a project that refers to photos like this, or maybe design work that is more about fashion and fabric that is really tuning with the mood board that you just presented. So you see that it doesn't matter if it's an interior or if it's a dress, but you still need to refer to the first mood board approach that you see on the right. You can also talk about shapes. And so a mood board is also giving you the opportunity, for instance, to present not the final work, but just the fact that maybe in an interior design, you're going to present two different shapes together. So you say, okay, with these lines that you see on the left, we're just saying, okay, there will be a combination of rectangular, very rigid lines and curves. And to the side, to the right, you see that there is the same expression. So mixing these geometrical shapes and the photos, we have a clear idea of your design approach to the project. Here, we could do the same approaching a dress, saying the dress is referring to origami and mainly to the triangular shape that you see on the left. And then you show some clothes that can refer to what you would like to do next. So when you present something like this, even if there are only a few photos, you can have a feedback from your client. You can start understanding if the client likes it or not, if the client would like to go for this or another approach. When you do a mood board, it's also very important to look at the language you're going to use in the mood board, because you are using fonts and text and you have to be very careful with it. So normally, if this is a mood board, here you see a very plain text that is not interfering with the picture, but instead you can give an extra flavor to the picture, to the mood board with a specific font, like you see here, or with this other font. So you see that the picture can take a completely different twist if you use different fonts. So this is something important you might look at when you create a mood board as well. Another important thing is you look at composition and hierarchy of the information that you put on the mood board, because really what you are doing is a storytelling. So even if it's one image at the end, we always start from top left, reading to the side, or we have some hierarchy to follow. And I'm just giving you some example. So we normally start with a plain page That can be horizontal or vertical. This is your choice, really. And then we normally can choose between size. So if you put one big photo in wherever you put it, we are going to look at that before we look at everything else. So there is already a hierarchy on the dimension of the photo that you put or the text. Then the position, as we said, we normally read from top left and we go down. If this is happening in Western region. And so be very careful also where you want to put the most important photo to the least one. And then also the typeface can be very important. So it depends how big the text is. And you can see here that it's very clear what I need to see first and what I need to see third, in third position. And here is just an example. Again, here I've got the perception of how a font can approach to different mood boards, giving a more informal view, like you see in the Pastello one, a very minimalistic one, or anyway, a bit arty one on the very left one. So you can have different approach to each mood board. Another important thing is the use of color. Don't go too crazy if you don't need to, but you see that I put the color on the secondary importance and everybody would just look at the color first and then it will look at the primary importance one. So even the color can be really strong in creating hierarchy. Here you see the same about the photo. If a photo is super colored, everybody would just look at that first and then look at the rest of your mood board. And again, some advice, you can also think that your mood board doesn't need to start with a white plain background, but you can also give the background a bit of color that can be also very subtle. So don't go too crazy if you don't need to, but you can add some emotion giving the background the color. I'm just gonna go through some example now. So I show you some tips on making mood boards. As I said, you can create a very conceptual mood board or a very clear mood board on the final choices you normally make when you present a design work. So this one, for instance, very clear. Here you see the mood board is full of images. They belong to nature, to clothes, to the attitude of the person, and also they present a geographical background of the space. So it's like Californian summer, we could say it, or like so it's very comfy, very informal. It's a very calm and exciting summer with pastel color. So this is the impression that I got when I saw this image. And this one could be referred to like a fresh summer where we see a completely different approach, much cooler and very, very elegant. So you can see that through these 9 photos, we have the emotion of the space or the emotion of a new dress, of a new product, just through these images. And here you see another example, 9 photos, full. The importance of the photo you can understand is to really pick photos that nobody saw before. Is almost impossible now, but the more you search, the more you will find unique photos that will make it really stand out your mood board. So here the references are about architecture as well as clothes, and then we could refer this to anything really in general. Here you see a mixed reference of, again, we have nature, people, dresses, colors, and also graphic design. So you can see that you can really refer to different disciplines. In this case, you see that the mood boards is inside the grid, and is very, very clear, the composition. And is quite interesting because the photos are really well chosen. Here you saw already this picture. This the composition is inside a white background. And this makes, for me, this is easier to be seen, to be looked at, because whenever you leave some white spaces around your selection, the attention of the viewer goes to your content. When the page is too full, sometimes we get distracted. Like here, we don't get distracted, but we don't know what is the most important photo, what is the least. When you create something like this, you can also give hierarchy to the most powerful images that you want to show. Here you see another example. It's like photo together with graphic design shapes. So we have, you see 5 photos that already represent this very sleek, elegant, sporty style. And the background is colored, and but it's very, very, in a way, it's very neutral, even if it's a strong color, because it goes very well with the photos that are in the picture that you see. Here you see another composition. The vision is explained by the background that is very dusty, very strange, very rusty, is anyway giving some ideas. And then in front you see some figures and also a color palette. So this is a very minimal background mood board, but is giving you some advices on how to compose the page, if you like, with a white background filled with this inspirational photo. You can also go very artistic if you feel like, if it's your mood, if it's going good with your idea. So here we see a dark approach to the mood board that can be very interesting because it looks very arty. And here you see another one. This is what I said before. This has been done physically, and then somebody took a very nice photo. So you can also work with newspapers or whatever you like to create a nice mood board. So nobody will ever say to you that, no, this is not good. It's good, whatever tool you use to deliver your vision in a collage way. Here another example of mixing photograph and illustration and text. This is quite clear. On the left, you can see how a mood board can look like, also very, very minimal. And here you see a reference to the colors, to the shapes, to some inspirational images. And then to the right, you actually see the final work, the final design of the dress. And so you can sort of refer to the mood board and you can say, okay, I like the mood board. I understood why she or he took this decision. And then she or he delivered this dress following its own inspiration. So this is how mood boards can be really important to envision the project before delivering it. When you have mood boards for the final choices, normally they are called sample mood boards. They're really like about finishes and fitting and furniture and materials. So on the left, you see again a conceptual mood board that can refer to nature, to physical spaces, but not exactly the material you're going to use. On the right, you could see that you can have the sample mood board where you actually decide all the materials that you provide for the project. So normally we go from a conceptual mood board to a realistic sample mood board. And from the sample mood board that you see on the left here, we go to the final design. So you can see that the mood board normally doesn't have hundreds of decisions made, hundreds of materials, few materials that are the strongest key elements of the design, as you see on the right. So this is when we were talking about subtraction, is this thing. You need to create a unique space. In the end, you just need to find few materials that can be really strong. This is another option. You see materials and furniture. So really, this is the way that we finalize our design. And while something, so you see something like this is very clear, very pure. We have enough white space to the side. When we present this, it's too full of images. So you really have to find a way to make the mood board not too full of images, but very clear. Something like this is much more effective. So few photos sometimes, but really well picked, can be as strong as too many that are too messy in the page. So really you have to try to start with something like this, where you pick all the photos that you think are interesting, and then you finalize just on the most crucial one, on the most important. An easy way to make a decision very clear is also picking some information that are already cut out. So it's like having white space to the side can help you delivering mood boards that are like the one you see on the right. So on the left, there is a mood board that is full of references. It's still good, but it's a bit messy. Sometimes when we go from conceptual mood boards to the final one, we also try to distill some way to make a synthesis of the project. And so we better collect photos like this. So you can see it's much easier to identify how the space is gonna look like. And you can do also the same, you can see here. So these are mood boards that collect information in a more minimal way. Or sometimes you can just pick up the same information and you create photo montage like you see here. So here is not a new design, but it's a design explained through photo montage that you create, just picking the right elements of the design you find. Here you see another example is a mood board full of inspiration. So this could be a conceptual mood board, but in the end, is easier if you then express your ideas through very few choices and making really the attention to the clothes in this case. So having a plain background can be also a strategic way. I don't want to go too long. It's already 33 minutes. Mood board tools. Obviously, we can suggest you to use Pinterest boards. So Pinterest is a really strong tool you can use, collect information, to divide information into collections, and then use this for your mood boards. But you can have also other programs like Portfolio is a program that you can find online. You can find also Canva. Canva is a very strong tool where you can find lots of inspirational templates. So you can just find inspiration there. And so remember to also use your unique language to express your mood boards like you see here. And also, as we said before, you can also think about expressing yourself through a mood board like this that is talking about you. That could be something like this, or something like this that can be an expression of your being. And again, if you want, you can always add some animated GIF as well to express who you are and some funny moments or different moments. So this is the end. So I hope I wasn't so fast, but this is really something about making mood boards that can be really powerful on all your creative experience.
Thank you, Francesca. It was very interesting.
My pleasure.
Just wanted just to show you once again the slide with the project. So with the process that you should follow in order to complete the process if you want a feedback from us about your own mood board. And then I think we can answer questions, Francesca, right? So yes. if you want to start writing your questions using the chat or the Q&A section, I think it's perfect. We can read them out loud later. So if you want, start start already, you know, asking your questions. And for what it concerns me, just wanted to show you once again this. So again, remember, follow ID Official on Instagram, and then make a post tagging ID. This is the caption you should write, and of course with a little description of what was the meaning of your mood board. Use the hashtags inspired by Ed, find your difference, and design different, and then tag. Of course, make a story and send us an email. You can find all the references here, but I think eventually we can send it to you by email later on. So I don't want to steal too much time with this process. Do you have any questions? Are there any questions for us?
Може да задавате въпросите си на български език в чат полето, като ще ги преведем към презентаторите и се надявам да получим техния отговор.
Okay, so
there is a question related to the scholarship competition, if you can reply to this one.
Yeah, okay. Does it matter how the distance project will be presented? I'm not really sure I get what is, you know, what you really mean, but of course, if you can find, let's say, we are looking for your ideas. So the ideas is what it matters the most, as also Francesca explained in a way, but it's important to find a good way of representing it. So again, if you know, use the tips that she gave to you in order to give more power to your ideas. So this is going to be a good leverage, because it's going to look good, and it's going to be easier for us to read through what you thought and what you meant to do as a project.
How to be more creative, which are the best apps for creating content.
This is for you.
As I said very quickly at the very end, I normally do most of my work, also design work. I do it with PowerPoint because it's the easiest way to collect information. Just move pictures inside and decide how to assemble a photo. So even if it's a very, it's not a software that designers will suggest, I will suggest to you, because everybody knows how to use PowerPoint, and it's super powerful. So you can add animated GIF, images, content, you can change fonts. So just display, the important thing is to set the design at the A3 paper, and then I would use PowerPoint as the tool. As I said, online for free, you can have so many templates as well. But again, I think you should go through all the samples, the templates, and find the one that really goes with your idea. So don't get too influenced by what is already there and what's already everybody's using, but try to really focus on your idea. So that you know, if you take a template from Canva, maybe somebody else would do the same. So that's the only problem about it. But I would say take inspiration, yes, and then create your own ideas on PowerPoint. Photoshop will be the best tools to use, just because they are a really good tool for photography in general, Photoshop.
And you don't have to make big, you know, big things necessarily. I mean, you can go for what you already can use. I mean, so you can also be very simple, but very effective at the same time.
And also when you say, can we have a mood board in our portfolio presentation? Yes, because normally a portfolio is not just about your final work, but the idea that was delivering that final work. So normally we always do a collage of conceptual idea that drove ourselves to the final design. So having a mood board will be really strong in your portfolio because it really is the starting unique original moment of your creation. So that's super important.
Okay, I see questions for the mood board project. So what should I write on the axis when I post the mood board? The axis actually stands for your own description. So just put a very, very brief description, even some keywords is fine with what you intended to convey through your mood board.
There is a question in the Q&A session. Can we transform existing photos to improve the harmony in the color palette, for an example?
Yeah, I mean, you should do whatever you think is important. One thing that I should say, in any way, as a general way to act on photos, we now just pick information from everywhere because we see everything online. A good way to put a photo is always also to credit them. This is in general for the rights of attribution. Nobody does it, not at the moment, but if you then publish the portfolio, you should do so. So if you take a good reference, you can also change the colors, but it's important you keep the credit under the photo if you want to share all the information online on a public portfolio, for instance. It's not very common, but sorry, I needed to tell you. Yes, you can change all the photos and change the filters. Sometimes also another tool that you can use, you could use also filters from Instagram. I'm sure you know how they work. Filter can be really good. There is a filter that actually identifies palette colors on each photo you take. So also use Instagram to create a photo that can be added to your mood boards, because there are already many tools inside Instagram. Also the color shading filter for each photo. So this could be another way to act instead of using Photoshop. So.
Francesca, I believe there is one for you.
Uninspired.
Yeah.
Yes. So I don't know if I'm uninspired. The problem is sometimes you're not happy with your ideas. My way to overcome this, that sometimes happen, is you start with one idea, and maybe I use Photoshop or I use PowerPoint. I start collecting photo, and then I'm not happy. So I go back to Pinterest and I start looking again and finding new photos. If I'm not happy, then I start doing the 3D or I start using sketches. And finally, shifting from one tool to another tool, I will find the right idea. So normally I'm always unhappy until I really have been experiencing many tools in order to find the final choice. So my suggestion is to be able to use video making, any photo retouching system, whatever that is the most powerful tool for you to experience as many, so that you will find the right unique solution.
Can I give an answer as well?
Sure.
Well, what I would do is, what I would say is also finding a methodology really helps you not depending from an inspiration. This is exactly what we try to tell, at ID to our students. When you deal with the creativity at a professional level, you cannot just wait, for an inspiration, because sometimes you have to deliver and you have timings, deadlines to respect and everything else. So finding a methodology really helps you to overcome, there are going to be some days in which you feel more inspired, more, stronger than other days, let's say. With some days you will have more ideas, some days maybe you will have a little bit less. But in any case, if you find a methodology and if you learn a methodology, and this is what we try to do every day with our students, you're gonna make the difference from somebody who is a creative by hobby and somebody who's a creative by profession.
On a portfolio, normally what is really important is to create a nice cover that is already your card calling, like is the first moment where we make a judgment. So the cover is something you should do at the very end. When you finish the portfolio, you are happy with the project, you go back to the cover and you think what is the most important thing and the emotion and mood you want to give. Maybe it's enough to have a color as a background. Maybe it's enough to have a nice font. Maybe it's good to have a background photo. So I would start with the cover, and then I would say that the second page is normally white, but the third page is normally a short description of your bio. So it's like what you are and where you want to go. So normally it's like a presentation letter, and that is very strong. And then I would suggest to have your CV also expressed on your portfolio. So we normally start with understanding who you are, and then an index of the selected projects, and then you just put the projects with a hierarchy that should be it, and you choose the best project in general. So if you just have 2 projects that are really good, just place 2 projects. Don't place 5 projects, sketches, photos that are not relevant. Just place what you think is really defining you most. So the project you're more happy with, not everything you have, because it's never helpful doing that. So what we, oh, sorry, it's my dog.
Well, yes, now you can create your own mood board. You can, as you can see, the mood board is a tool, okay? And you can use it in many different ways. You can use it to present yourself. You can use it to give more power to your project. You can use it in a very, very, very different variety of ways. So now you can decide. You can also use, if you're want to use it for the scholarship competition, go for it as well. I mean, it's going to be a very good and powerful tool. So if you want to have a feedback on the mood board that you are creating, just follow the steps that we presented to you, and we will give you a feedback and also a certificate. It's just something that we want to give you as a reward of your involvement in the lesson, and also, in what is following the lesson. Do you have any other questions? Thank you very much. We are glad you liked the presentation.
Thank you.
We have recorded this presentation, so a copy will be sent to everybody who participated in it for a reference if you are creating your mood board. Also, we will send the description of the contest or the project, how to create your mood board to be evaluated from ID. everything will be sent by email. If you have any questions, let us know. We are here. My name is Petya. Most probably you have received already a few emails from me about this webinar, about the scholarship competition. So let me know if you have any questions. And thank you very much, Andrea, Francesca. It was a very nice presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Petya. And also thank you, Skylines, because we always work very well together. By the way, if you have any questions for the admission process or everything, Skylines is very eager to help you and constantly in contact with us. So contact them.
Благодаря още веднъж за отделеното време. Очакваме вашите въпроси по имейл. Ще се радвам да отговоря на всеки един. Благодаря ви и лека вечер.